Well, hey, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about something a little bit different. We're going to talk about transferring analog to digital. And what I mean by that is converting your old 8mm and Super 8 movies to HD video. And with that, we're going to do an honest review of the Wolverine Moviemaker Pro. Stay tuned. Now, if you were born in the early 1980s or before, chances are some of your life is documented on film. And we're talking about 8mm or Super 8mm motion picture film. Now, as time has gone by, these are becoming brittle, colors are shifting off of them. They may not be playable for much longer, so I've decided it's time to put some of my old memories on digital so that they'll last a little bit longer. For that, I picked up the Wolverine Moviemaker Pro, found it on Amazon for about $399. It got good reviews. It's supposed to capture frame by frame and convert that to a 1080p digital file. So let's take a look around the unit, get our first impressions, and then we'll try it out and see how the final images look. So off the bat, I do want to make sure everybody knows this is not a sponsored video. They did not send me this for free, and I'm not doing it for them. So I'm going to be as honest as I can with this review. That way, if you folks are looking to digitize some of your stuff, get it preserved for history, then you can make the right decision. Now, I have not used this yet, so we're going to be doing this the first time together. All I did was take it out of the box. Now, first impressions of it, it seems a little bit light, a little bit cheap, maybe a little bit plasticky for something that I spent $400 on. I had looked at other models on Amazon and eBay and other websites, and there were some that looked similar that were half the price, but I figured Wolverine was the name that I had heard a lot. I'm going to spend a little bit of extra money and get the one that appears to be the best that I can get, because I want my Super 8 films to look as good as they possibly can, even though they're Super 8. So in the box, you get the main unit. You do get a USB cable for it, because you can hook it up to your computer and use it as a card reader, basically. It does have a video output cable. Now, it is important to note that this is not going to play back your films where you can just watch them. It does scan frame by frame. So this would be used if you're going to watch the videos that after they're done. So this is not a projector, it's a digitizer. It has a cleaning brush for the film gate on here. And then you do have a couple of reel adapters for the different sizes of hubs on your film reels. Now, it does not come with an SD card, but they recommend a 32 gigabyte max for that, and that goes right in the back. On the back, we've got the USB port, you got that TV output, the SD card, and then there's the DC 12 volt input that does come with the power cable for that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this in. Get this turned around. This arm here will pull straight up, lock into place. There we go. All right, let's grab some film, get this thing loaded up, and see how she works. Now, it does say for my Super 8 reel, I do need a reel adapter to pop in there. And then this just snaps right onto the take-up reel, and then we're going to thread this in according to the instructions. And it does have the path laid out on here to show you in the solid line how you need to thread this in order to digitize. The dotted line is for rewinding your film afterwards. Now, it is important to note that there are 3 white marks on the film transport here that denote where there are tabs that the film actually has to clip under. If you don't do that, it's going to bind up or your frames won't line up properly. So we need to make sure we get the film clipped in to those. So we'll start getting this threaded through here. That is a little fiddly getting that to clip underneath all of those tabs there. Okay, now we'll go ahead and feed this according to their instructions around to our take-up reel. It's a little fiddly, but so are projectors, so. All right, now we're going to go ahead and turn this on, and we can see the light come through in the film transport there. It runs it across a couple of frames. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the menu here. First off, and we're going to do a preview. And the reason why I want to do that, and it's also asking, make sure you get on the right film type. We've got it on Super 8. I want to advance it past the white leader because I want to see where the actual frames of film are, because we're actually able to adjust the framing. You can show the full frame with the sprocket holes. You can crop it down. So I want to make sure I have an actual image on here that I can adjust it to properly so that we can actually see what it is we're dealing with. So and this is some film that I shot in high school. If I do screw it up, it's not that big a deal because it wasn't anything special, but it'll work for our purposes here. So let's go ahead and stop that. And let's go up to frame adjust. There we go. It gives us a preview. Let's get you in a little bit closer. All right, so we got you in a little bit closer here. So what it's going to do, it's going to give us the option to adjust the frames, X axis, Y axis, and then the width, which is the zoom. So let's push the X. We'll see what that does. All right, that's going to adjust us up and down. So now we can see the frame starting to come in on the top. So we want to bring that up. We see it coming in on the bottom. So we want to bring that down where we are in the full frame. There we go. And let's do the Y adjustment, which, there we go. X adjustment is left and right, so let's bring that frame in. Now we can see the sprocket hole coming into view. We don't want that, and we don't really want that glare around it either. So I'm going to just crop that out. We can see that frame coming in. So we'll get that pretty well centered up there. And then the width is the zoom. So that should bring everything in nice and tight. There we go. So we'll go back out to the menu. Everything looks good there. Let's try the exposure. Go to the menu. Go exposure. Bring it up just a little bit. Go back to our preview. That looks pretty good considering how old it is. Alright, so now if we want to go ahead and digitize this, we're going to go to record. It's going to get booted up. And now it's going to digitize it frame by frame. Okay, so we've got some footage digitized, and before we take a look at it, I want to remind everybody that even when Super 8 and 8mm film was brand new, it wasn't the most high-resolution moving picture image that you could get. It's a very, very tiny frame, so there's not a whole lot of resolution that can be packed into that. So it is going to look a little bit soft, a little bit grainy. That's just how it is. Now, as we start to roll the footage, the reason why I chose this particular film was because the colors were still relatively well preserved, given that the film is about 40 years old. And it gives us a really good idea of how well the contrast is and the clarity and the sharpness of this digital transfer system. And I think it's doing a pretty good job. There's a little bit of JPEG artifacting. It is an MJPEG system that it uses. A little bit of compression noise, but overall I don't think it's bad for a $400 piece of equipment. Now, my final thoughts on the Wolverine Moviemaker Pro. Do I think it's worth $400? No, it does not feel, look, act, or operate like something that I would expect to cost $400. I think it should probably be about half that price. But I do believe that the memories that it captures are priceless. So if I weigh that out, I'm still okay spending the $399 that I did on it, because I'll have hours and hours of footage that either I would never watch again, or it would degrade. I'd never be able to watch it again. You know, so it gives us an opportunity to share those memories with family and to preserve them for lifetimes. So in that sense, I'd say it's a pretty good investment. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a bunch more films that I'm going to digitize. I'll put some link in the description below if you want to see a longer example of the footage that we showed, just to give you an idea in a little bit longer format. But if you have any comments or suggestions or questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. The stats show that most of the people that watch aren't subscribed, and it really, really helps us out if you'll just click that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it. Hit the like button if you liked the video. Until next time, I've been Chad, and this has been the Vintage Electronics Channel. We'll see you next time.